Hey everyone, Bob here and welcome back to the channel. As the title says, what we're going to work on today is blood tracking with a dog. Now, if you are new to this is something that I don't feel you have to have a special dog, a special blood tracking or hunting dog, or even a special skill set to be able to do this. I'm going to coordinate this series with my friend Scott Brosier with Pine Hill Kennels. Scott is more of what we would call the pro dog trainer, and I'm kind of the Joe. We're going to kind of stack this together, do a little theme, and put out some content that shows some ways that Scott would do some dog training, and in this case, blood tracking, and the way I would do it, the Joe or Bob here, and just a general user or somebody with their dog wanting to do some blood tracking. Now, deer hunting in Michigan and most of the U.S. is probably one of the most popular forms of hunting. It's super common, and it's super frustrating if you can't find that big buck or even that meat freezer doe that you're wanting to put in there. So if you have a dog and you're frustrated with losing deer or just worried about it and you don't want to lose a deer, this would be some content that you want to subscribe and follow along. And I do appreciate the comments, especially from people who have done this. Now, the dog that I'm going to use is my Dratar Panzer, and Panzer has already done some blood tracking work, but I'm going to backpedal that a bit and show people how I do this, the Joe, versus some content from Scott, how Scott's going to show you how more of the pro would do some blood tracking. So let me show you my dog here. So, with that said, this here is Panzer. Now, Panzer is my Dratar, and Panzer now is about 6 years old. And as I said, he's got some training behind him, so I will backpedal a little bit of this, so we'll be kind of scripted. But I'm going to show you guys how I start off a dog with the blood tracking. Now, you don't need to have a Dratar for this. You don't have to have a lab. You don't have to have any kind of special beagle or hound, in my opinion. If you've got a dog that's able to use its nose to find these things in the house or treats or toys or anything like that, you probably got a dog that's going to help you out with blood tracking. Is it probably going to be as good as some of the breeds that are really designed to have a powerful nose? Maybe not. But will that poodle help you find your missing deer or that pit bull or that Doberman? I got a feeling you might be surprised at how well the nose on most dogs work. So with that said, I'm going to talk a little bit about a few items that you need to get started. So some kind of high value treat is what I feel you want to have. My dog really likes milk bones, and he likes pieces of hot dogs, and he also likes baby carrots. So you need to have something like this. You're eventually going to need some of this, and this is actual deer blood, but you can use really any kind of blood you've got. If you can go to the butcher and get some cow blood, but if you're a hunter and you talk to your buddies, save me some blood, I usually keep some blood. I put it in the freezer, I bottle it up, and then I dilute it when I use it. So you're going to need some blood. You are going to need that dog. You got to have a dog. And you're going to want to have a tracking collar and a lead. In Michigan, we have to keep the dog on a lead when we're tracking. And in this case, the kind of training that I'm going to show you to do, you would want to keep the dog on a lead anyway. And in this case, I have this Kydex material. It's slippery. You want some kind of a lead that's going to allow you to slip through the grass, the woods, and the bushes and things and not get too tangled. Other than that, that's really all you need to get started. So if you got your dog, you got a little bit of blood, you got some time, and he's already going for the treat here, and you got these things on hand, you can get started. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give old Panzer the milk bone here. You can see he likes that, and away he goes. But I'm going to put out a track, and I'm going to show you guys a very simple track and how I start introducing the command track so the dog starts to understand what multiple things mean when I'm trying to get him to do something. He's going to understand what putting this collar on means. He's going to understand, oh, when I smell this, hey, there's a reward at the finish line. It's no different than some of the things we have our dogs doing in the house when we're training them. They get fed at a certain time. They hear your pickup pull up. Guess what? They know that's the dinner bell. Same thing with this. When he puts this collar on, after so many repetitions and so much training, he's going to start to realize that command and this collar go hand in hand. And I'll talk more about that as we get going. So let me stop blabbing, get the dog all kind of strapped up here. I'm going to run a line. I'm going to show you guys a short start on how this goes with a reward. All right, so let's get started. Here I am. I'm in the backyard. I've got my blood. I've got this stuff kind of diluted. Got my treat. So let's get the treat here. And what I'm going to do is, it is about 10, maybe 12 yards to that fence. I'm going to make a straight line putting down some scent for my dog. And this is just the initial start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot where I know my starting point's going to be, and I'm going to put a decent amount of blood down. So here we go. And we want to make this successful. I'm going to go towards that pole, and I'm going to run quite a few drips here. And I'm going to do, at first, drips close together to get the dog to realize, hey, this is the direction we're going. And I'm going about one big step between these drops. So let me switch this camera. There we go. So now I'm going to go another step, and I'm putting down quite a bit right now. We'll talk more about how this process gets a little more challenging. We're going to add some turns. We're going to add some time here, letting the blood dry, less blood, and just really work this through repetition. So I'm going to go right to this pole right here, put the blood, and there is his treat. Let's go get the dog. Now the first thing we're going to do is start off every training session the same. And again, I'm going to have a series here, so we're going to talk about this stuff a lot more. We're starting off every session the exact same way. My dog heeling, and I'm going to put this tracking collar on. He starts to realize what this means. And there is our starting point. So we're going to get him over to there and get his nose on it. Now again, bear with me, he's done this some, but this is exactly what you're going to do with your new animal. Heel. Our command's going to be track. 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 We're going to point it out to him. Track. Track. We're going to keep saying this. Track. Now, we don't want to tug him too much. Track. 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 Oh, he's going over here. There he goes. Track. 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 Oh, good boy. And there it is. That was a quick, short track, and he got the reward. We're going to stop it right here. All right, there it was. That is just a short, real brief, extremely simplified version of how we're going to start the tracking process. It's mostly about getting the dog to begin to connect the dots with a couple things to understand our language. So I want Panzer, I want this guy to understand that this collar means we're going to be doing something. It's no different than in your house when you pull out that toy and the dog understands, hey, it's time to play. Or you've got the tennis ball out and he understands we're going to be catching this thing or fetching it. We want the dog to understand the job. It's going to happen with this. You're going to be using your nose to find yourself a reward. We also need to say that command, that verbal word. In my case, I use track, 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 just like that. Look at him looking at me. That's the word that I use. If you've already got your dog looking for some toys in the house and you use that word find it or go get it, hey, you might be able to already use that. But we put that blood line down and we get the dog looking for that blood scent. Now, I'm going to get a little bit more into this. If you've got a dog that's really not interested in blood, there's ways to make that connection too. But we're going to stick with the deer blood. We're going to go with that right now. I appreciate the comments and the things that you might want to add. But again, I'm really simplifying this down so that the general person who's not a dog trainer, maybe not an avid handler of any sort, can take their home pet and actually get this dog to help them find some deer. The key that you're going to have to do if you want to do this with your dog is be committed to it. This takes time. You need to do repetition, repetition. It's no different than every day when you come home and that dog hears your car, that door opens or whatever it may be, and they know it's dinner time. That happens every day, so that dog builds that conditioned response. We're going to get that conditioned response with that word track, with this collar, and with those rewards that this guy gets at the finish line. So follow along, subscribe. I'm gonna have Scott chiming in on his channel and over on mine, over at his Pine Hill channel, his gun dog channel. And by the way, that's where this guy came from. And we'll just see how this goes with kind of the pros versus Joes with tracking some deer. And now it is Memorial Weekend 2023, in case you're watching this in the future. We're going to work this all through the summer. I actually do have access to doing some crop damage hunting this summer, so hopefully we can actually get some footage tracking an actual deer with this guy summer and before hunt season. So tag along, check back in, leave me some comments, give me some feedback, some input, some things you do, don't do, questions, and all that good stuff. Thanks for checking in.